All right, guys, I'm gonna get started. Again, if you can be on camera, get on camera. Even if you're driving, it's okay. Just trust me, it'll be better for me to know that you're on there, right? It's not just you have it on in the background, right? And so, welcome to Leadership Academy. The purpose of we were doing these in person. We decided to move to virtual just so that everybody has more access, right? I know Fridays oftentimes are a little busy. People are all over DFW. And so this was an easy way to get everybody on here and to be able to do what the purpose of the training is, right? Is to learn and to get better.
Yeah.
And so welcome. If you guys can mute yourself, that'll be wonderful as well. So just put yourself on mute.
Between the two in the magazine capacity?
No.
No.
The sites.
Oh, okay. Then I didn't notice.
Let me mute some folks here. Okay. And so I'm gonna go over a few items, and I'll tell you right now, my virtuals are probably gonna be different than any virtual, right? Because I might be walking around. If you could see, the board is on there as well somewhere on the other camera. So I might go up to the board. I never really have a plan as far as I have agenda as to what I'm going to go over, but I don't really have a plan as to how I deliver it. I just deliver it however I feel is the most works the best. And so if you see me walking around, that's just how I do. All right. And so I'm going to go through a few items today. I'm gonna talk about small wins. Okay. In anything that we do, it's important to have those small wins. And so I'm going to show you one of the ways that you could accomplish small wins within our sales process. I'm going to talk to you guys about the actual sales cycle. What does that look like? Hopefully, I know everybody's seen this before. Hopefully you remember it, but I'm going to walk you through what that looks like, and I'm going to get into more specifics as to how to execute on that sales cycle. I'm going to talk a little bit about Edge. I'm going to talk about Edge. Edge is the model that we use whenever we're doing an employer presentation. But to be honest with you, it's a model that you can use towards pretty much any type of communication that you do, okay, including enrollments. We call this Leadership Academy. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about leadership, and I'm going to go into a little bit of talk about that. The main goal for these meetings and why we call them Leadership Academy is because we're trying to improve our leadership capacity. When you can improve in leadership capacity, our whole organization grows exponentially, right? And so the better leader that you become, the better you are for our organization, the better you are for your family, the better you are for your community, the better you are for your church, the better you are in this life. And so the better you can be a leader, the better everything grows in your life. And so that's always been the point of this. But what we're also trying to do is we're trying to identify who are going to be the next leaders to rise up in our organization, right? Because we need managers to step up, right? We need coordinators and trainings. We need to develop the next district sales coordinators in our organization. We need to develop the next regional sales coordinators in our organization. And this is going to tell me a lot about where you are in that level, right? The people who show up, it says a lot about you already, right? Because anybody, I mean, it's virtual. Literally, all you have to do is just dial in or jump on. You don't even have to be on camera, even though I'm obviously encouraging you to. But it says a lot about who you are as a leader, and it says a lot about how you're prioritizing your business. And so I'm going to jump right into it, right? Because I know we only have an hour, and I'm going to try to get through this as fast as possible. And so small wins, right? We've talked about the bonuses, right? How do you get a bonus? What are the milestones, right? Well, there's different milestones in the business that we have. And so Aflac creates that, right? Because those milestones are the measuring as to whether you achieve your bonus or not. However, small wins in anything that we do is important, right? If my goal is to get on a diet, well, it starts with day one, right? Day one, I did it today. It's a victory, right? We celebrate that first victory. Now we go for our second victory, and it's those small victories, right? We often think of success as this big, long, enormous goal, and it is. But in order to get there, there's got to be small wins, right? There's got to be small wins along the way. And so one of the ways that you can easily get a small win is through something that we call direct policies, okay? Our target market in our business has always been, since I've been around Aflac, is always our payroll account business, right? Our B2B business, right? And so that means, scheduling meetings with business owners, presenting to them, enrolling employees, and getting an account, which is our niche market, and which is very important to what we do. But oftentimes that takes a little bit longer, right? Because it's a process, right? You got to prospect, you got to schedule the meeting, you got to run the meeting, you got to do the enrollment, right? And so that could, depending on how warm that lead is, it could take a little while. And so a direct policy is an easy way to get a win in our business, right? And so what is a direct policy? So there's a couple of ways that we get our product to consumer. One of those ways is through a payroll accounts, right? Again, the whole process we just went over. But an easy way to get a win in our business is to sell a direct policy. A direct policy meaning that I literally enroll somebody in the policy without them being part of a business, right? So that could be a neighbor, that could be a family member, that could be a friend, right? And so ask yourself, who do you know within your network of influences, or within your network of people that you know that could benefit from a cancer policy, right? Who do you know that works in a job where they don't offer them benefits, and they could benefit from an accident policy, a life insurance, or critical care illness? And so there's 5 different policies that we're able to offer on direct, okay? Not all the policies are available like it is on payroll. There's 5 different policies that we can do. Number 1 is accident policy. Accident policy, if you look up the numbers, it's the number 1 policy that Aflac sells across the board, okay? For a lot of obvious reasons, which I won't go into today, but we can do accident. We could also do cancer insurance. We could do critical care insurance. We could do life insurance. We could do whole life, term life, juvenile life, any of those lines we can do. We could also do dental supplemental plans. And so think about who can benefit from any of those 5 plans, right? And so if somebody wants to enroll in any of those policies, you don't have to schedule a meeting for another day, present to the employees, do the enrollment, do a lunch and learn. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is literally just do their application right then and there, right? And so I'm going to walk you guys through real quick what that looks like, right? And so I'm going to share my screen here. And give me a thumbs up if you're able to see my screen. Yeah, okay. So all of you guys have access to your Field Force Services page, right? Everybody knows Field Force Services, obviously. We've gotten that far, right? Right, everybody? Okay. So one of the first things that you need to do when you join Aflac, and hopefully most everybody on this call has already done this, right, is you need to get Everwell certified, okay? And you need to get Everwell certified because Everwell is a program that we use to write applications. So in other words, if you're not Everwell certified, you're not going to have access and you can't write applications, which means you're probably going to be uphill to make some money. So make sure that you have Everwell access. Again, I'm not going to go into that today, but if you don't have access, check with your DSC and make sure that you do, okay? Make sure you've completed your Everwell. And so anyways, once I have access to Everwell, I'm going to come to Everwell. I'm going to launch Everwell, which is literally right here where it says launch. And it's going to take me into my Everwell portal. On this portal, you're going to have access to manage either your payroll accounts or to be able to enroll somebody in a direct policy and manage those as well. And so this is what it looks like, right? It's going to download my accounts, okay? And in your case, it's going to download your accounts, right? And right now you might have 0, and that's okay, right? We all start at 0. And one of the things that I'll tell you is, I'm going to let mine pull up here in a sec. So I'm going to be able to see the accounts that I have in my book of business, right? And so I'm going to be able to see all the different accounts that I have, right? And so in yours, you might have 0. But what I'm going to tell you to do is start visualizing accounts on there. Start believing and start seeing accounts on there even when they're not there. And so anyway, so let me see. So it's lagging a little bit. Okay, so here's my Everwell. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to where it says direct. Okay, and I'm just going to click on this. And literally, if I'm sitting in front of a family member, in front of a friend who's interested in a direct policy, again, all I do is enroll them right here, right? And so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and let me, how do I get rid of this? Let me see. Okay, maybe not. Let me see. How do I take this off? Anybody know? How do I take this little thing off? Anybody know? Let's see here.
It's
Where's my IT guy? Eric, how do I take this off?
I only see your screen. I don't see what
Okay, I'm
blocking.
trying to get rid of the because I see all y'all's pictures here on the side. Can you see on the right hand side where it says add customer?
Yes.
Do you guys see that on the right hand side? Yes.
I
No?
do. Yes.
Okay. So literally all you're gonna do on there is you're gonna add a customer. Okay. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna ask you for all of their information. And so it's gonna ask you for name, it's gonna ask you for oh, there we go. Okay. So literally you're just gonna come here and add customer. And it's just gonna ask you for very basic info, name, first name, last name, date of birth, gender, address, city, email address, phone number. And you're just gonna add them, right? And so for example, let's do a test real quick. So Renee tests, right? And so date of birth, I'm just gonna make one up, 12/12/2000. Okay. That's my real birthday, by the way. That was a joke, actually. Male, 111 Main Street. Address, I'm gonna put Fort Worth, Texas. Zip code. So literally, hopefully I haven't already used my address, but then I just click next. And then it's gonna take me into dependent information. And so let me see, it's gonna might have already have my information. Oh, phone number. So I need to put another phone number here. So I'm just gonna change that. Oh, you see my email was already, I'm literally just gonna change that. Okay. And then so right here, it's going to take me to add dependents, right? And so they're looking to add any dependents, a spouse, children, you would just add them on there. And then what's going to happen is it's going to take you into to shopping. I'm just going to put Aflac. And by the way, all you have to put, whatever's optional, you don't have to add it at this time. So now I'm just going to save and shop. Email address already. That's okay. Yeah, so it's telling me my email already exists. So I need to just make up another address, I guess. So let's see here. I'm just gonna put at gmail.com. Okay. Okay, so now I'm in the shop, right? And so now literally I'm just gonna put in here, how am I gonna enroll them? Assisted enrollment means in person. Okay. And then you're literally just gonna put the city as to where you're enrolling. So in this case, I'm just gonna put Fort Worth. Okay. And then I'm just gonna click next. And now I'm in the shop area. So now this is what the enrollment platform looks like, right? So now I already have the customer information on here. And so now what it's gonna do is it's gonna allow me to shop for products, okay? And so now I can come here and I can do a cancel policy. And look, it already gives me the pricing right here. So, right, so if I want to do and it doesn't give me the name for an insured or spouse because I didn't put a spouse. And so right here, if I want to enroll somebody in a cancer policy, look, it gives me right here $16.93. And I can change this to however I want to quote it. If I want to do it monthly, if I want to do it weekly, however you want to quote it, you can do it up here in settings, okay? And so I could enroll in any of these policies. And so let's just say that somebody wants to do a cancer policy, and you're going to see there's 3 different levels. The one that says 100 is our option 1. The one that says 200 is our option 2. And the one that says 300 is your option 3, right? So in this case, let's just say we're going to just keep it simple, do an option 1. Literally, all I do is add it to my cart. And it's going to bring it up here to my cart. And then I just click on the cart. and all I'm going to do is apply for benefits. And so it's showing me on a monthly basis. So your family member or your friend already told you yes, they want to do the cancer policy 1693. And then literally this is going to take me to the application. I'm going to put social security number. It's going to walk you through everything on the application. And at the end, it's going to ask you for payment information. And so they could pay with a credit card, bank draft, and that's it. You've literally just sold a policy. You didn't have to schedule an employer presentation. You don't have to run a presentation. You literally just sold a policy to people you already know. And so I want to show you that, right? Because that is something that's very simple to do. If you're going to ask people about it, right? So you guys are knocking on doors, right? You're calling on businesses. Well, if you were to do the same approach with people that you know that can benefit from our direct policies, it's no different, right? If you ask enough people, somebody's going to be interested in a life policy or a cancer policy, an accident, and at that point, you can literally just enroll them right then and there, and you've just made a sale and created a small win for yourself. The direct policies are going to pay you the same exact commission. The only difference is that those policies are going to pay you whenever that policy bank drafts. Questions on any of that? Right? So creating small wins, right? That's an easy way to get a win. You already have contacts who can use our benefits. And so literally you just go on to Everwell, direct policies, put in their customer information, pick which product that they want. It's going to give you the price. And once they decide which one they want, you literally just do their application. You're going to put in their payment information and they're going to sign it electronically and you're done. Good? Got it? Okay. So next thing I'm going to go over is I'm going to talk to you guys about the sales cycle. I know that in the past, this is something that I go through in onboarding. You guys have probably seen this in sales school. Robin was just in the office less than an hour ago, so she literally just saw this. So I might ask her to teach a part of this since it's so fresh on her mind. But let me share this real quick. So when it comes to the sales process, make sure that you know what your process looks like, right? What exactly does that look like? And so I'm going to walk you through here. I'm going to pull it up here. I'm going to walk you through what that sales cycle process looks like, right? So you have 5 pieces to this sales process, okay? Or this sales cycle. You have number 1, planning and preparing. You have prospecting. You have employer conversation, enrollment, and account service, okay? So this is what the process looks like, right? Some of you have, everybody's in a different space, right? Or a part of your career here in Aflac. And, for some of you, you've already closed accounts. For some of you, you're still in seek of your first account. For some of you, you might have opened multiple accounts, right? Everybody's in a little bit of a different level. But what I do know is that if you don't know the process, it's going to be very hard for you to get that monkey off your back and open your first account. And so let's talk about the sales cycle here a little bit, okay? Planning and preparing. What does that look like? Why is it important to plan and prepare? Well, it's important to plan and prepare because when it comes to prospecting, the more efficient you are with your green time, your prospecting time, the more efficient that you're going to be in your business, the more opportunities you're going to have to win, okay? And that all starts with number 1, which is planning and preparing. So what is planning and preparing? Every single Monday, we have a Monday morning meeting in here, right? Our Monday morning mastermind. You guys come in here Monday morning and we go through all of that. When you come in here Monday morning, you should already know what your week looks like. I should literally be able to say, Liliana, let's pull up your calendar. And you should have everything already scheduled out, whether it's prospecting, employer presentation, enrollments, whatever that looks like, you should already have it planned out, okay? And when I say planned out, I'm talking particularly about green time, okay? What is green time? Green time is any time that you spend talking to people that could buy. That's simple. It could be prospecting. It could be presenting. It could be enrolling. It could be networking. It could be following up. It could be gaining a referral. Anything that's talking to somebody who could move you down that sales cycle is prospecting. But to get good at prospecting, you got to be prepared and you got to plan. Okay. So part of that planning, number one, is making sure that it's already labeled on your calendar, right? If you don't have any decision maker presentations or employer presentations scheduled, then your schedule should be full of prospecting blocks, right? You should, maybe it's Monday afternoon from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock prospecting, Tuesday morning from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock prospecting. Once you have that calendared and once you have that prospecting time scheduled, now we plan that prospecting block, okay? And so part of that planning is you have to have your leads ready to go. You have to have them ready to go. Do not come in here and be Googling and going on Data Axle. You should have that ready to go coming in, right? And that might mean that Sunday night you take 20 minutes to put all your leads together. That might mean that at the end of the 5 o'clock, when you finish your day, you put that together for the following day. But the better you could be at planning and preparing, the better that you're going to be at prospecting. Okay. And so you have to have a leads list ready to go. Okay. Where do you get those leads from? Well, guess what? In the business that we do, there's tons of leads everywhere. When you're driving home, right, you see businesses all over the place. Write them down, put them on your leads list. When you're driving around, you're seeing trucks and vans and all these different company vehicles that have the name of the company, have a phone number on it. Capture it and call it. That's a lead, right? We have Data Axle. We have Google. Everybody heard of Google? Yes. So you literally can go on there and just Google any industry that you want in any area that you want, and that becomes a part of your lead. Okay. And so now once you have that leads list, now you can start reaching out to those businesses either via phone, via in-person approaches, however you are working your prospecting. And by the way, I recommend you get good at both. Okay. However you're working that prospecting list, now you have leads. And so here's what I would do, right? Let's just say that I have a list of 50 leads. And maybe my method of reaching out to these leads, the first approach is in person. So I'm literally walking into the businesses, right? Every time I walk into the business, I'm capturing information. Who do I need to talk to? What's the name of the receptionist? When is that decision maker available? I might even ask them how many employees they have. I'm trying to gather as much intel because we know that most appointments are going to be scheduled between the 5th and the 12th follow-up. So the likelihood that I'm going to schedule a meeting when I walk in a cold lead on the first try is probably not going to be very likely. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully it's my lucky day and I walk in and boom, there's the decision maker. But for the most part, you play your probabilities, right? You know that it's probably not going to happen on the first try. And so now that we're gathering information. And so let's just say at the end of the week, I've approached 50 leads. And maybe out of those 50 leads, maybe I didn't even get any appointments, right? But maybe 10 of those leads were pretty solid, right? I got the name of the person. You know, they have more than 3 employees. You know, that there's information there that tells me that they're eligible to at least move through the sales cycle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start grouping those leads into different parts of the city, right? You don't want to be driving all over DFW spending gas. You want to make sure that you're targeting exactly the area you're going to be. So let's just say maybe I have 2 or 3 in Arlington, for example. Now I'm going to gather more info, right? Because I already know the name of the company. I know the person to talk to. I know that Ophelia is a receptionist. I know all that information. Well, now I'm going to go online and I'm going to Google their address, right? And I'm finding out where they are. And so maybe I have 3 that are in Arlington. And so now I'm going to make a plan to where I'm going to go visit each of those leads, right? So there's one in Arlington that I already know. I spoke to Ophelia. I know that the business owner is usually in the morning. So that morning I'm going to go over there. But when I go to that particular targeted lead, I'm going to hopefully I can meet with that decision maker at that place in Arlington. Maybe I don't, right? Hopefully I do. But either way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to target that particular business, and then I'm going to prospect everybody in that area, right? Maybe they're in a big 5-story building that has tons of businesses in there. Well, I'm already there to visit that one lead that I already qualified, and now I'm going to prospect all of the other ones that are in that area, right? And then maybe I have another one that's right down the road in Arlington. Same thing. I'm going to go try to schedule a meeting there, and I'm going to prospect everything in that area. Then I go to my third one, do the same thing. Now, at the end of the day, I've already have 20, 25 approaches plus the follow-ups that I did. Now those new approaches are turning into follow-ups, and now it's my pipeline is growing exponentially, right? And what most agents do, and the mistake that they do, is that number one, they don't have a leads list ready to go, right? And number two, they don't plan their prospecting, right? Meaning that they're driving all over town. They drive 30 minutes to go visit one person, and they come back home and they drive another 30 minutes in the afternoon to go visit another person. And at the end of the day, you spend all day driving around town and you've only walked into 4 businesses. That's not efficient, and that is not maximizing your green time. And so by planning and preparing, now you become more efficient at prospecting, which in turn gives you more opportunities, which in turn allows you to get to your gold standard, which is 100 approaches per week. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Good. And so once we get to prospecting, well, now obviously the goal is to schedule employer presentations, right? And I'm gonna walk through what that looks like, right? We talked about the edge model, right? And I'm gonna get to that here in a second. Once we're able to effectively conduct an employer presentation, now we get to schedule an enrollment. And guess what happens when you schedule and conduct an enrollment? Money, 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 right? And so all of you guys are here to make money. And if you can get through that sales cycle, right? If you can plan effectively, if you can prospect, if you can conduct an effective employer presentation and you can get to that enrollment, what you're going to find is that the enrollment part is the easiest part of what we do. Literally, I could take anybody from our office, take them to an enrollment, and they're going to make money, right? Because that's the easiest part. Imagine sending somebody hard on that accident policy, and at the end you tell them, guess what, Mr. Prospect, you're going to pay $7 a week for this plan. Can you imagine somebody would be dumb enough to say no to that? No, they're going to say yes for the most part, right? We have a 60% participation. But if you get good at it, that's going to be a lot higher as well. And the last piece of this is account service, right? We're in this to make money, but we're also in this for the long-term money, right? Renewals. And so every policy that you sell has the opportunity to pay you for years and years and years. And one of the fastest way, or one of the best ways to keep those renewals for years and years, is by servicing your account and servicing your policyholders. So once you start to build your book of business, once you start to acquire clients, you want to make sure you're there for them, because remember, we're setting promises. Dean, I promise that if you're ever involved in any type of accident where you get hurt, I promise you that I'm going to be there to help you get money from your accident policy, right? But one of the mistakes that a lot of agents do is that they're great at selling, but the day that policyholder calls them trying to file a claim, the agent's nowhere to be found. And guess what that policyholder is going to do? Man, I've been paying my policy for 2 years now. I hadn't had any accidents. Now I had an accident. I'm trying to file a claim, and my agent who promised me he'd be there is nowhere to be found. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to cancel their policy, and your income is going to stop on that policy, which doesn't defeat the purpose, but it's a big purpose of why we do this, is to create that long-term residual income. And so service is very important. And so let me walk you through the edge model real quick. I want to make sure that I get as close to finishing this by 5 o'clock as possible. I'll open this up here in a second for any questions, and I'll look at the chat as well. So the edge model, right? We have engage, we have discover, and guide and execute. Okay. Now we primarily talk about this when it comes to employer presentation, but this could easily be used in any conversation, including the enrollment aspect of this. Okay. So what does engage mean? Okay. Engage is a part of the presentation where we're literally creating rapport and creating a connection with that employer. Okay. Because when you meet with an employer, people are not going to buy from you unless they know you, trust you, or like you. Right. And so, especially when you're walking into a cold lead, right? I literally 4-corner market it. I scheduled a meeting. I've only seen that business owner one time. And so in order for me to give myself the best opportunity to close that deal, is I have to create some sort of rapport, right? Because if they feel like they don't know me, they don't trust me, because this is the first time I ever meet with them, they may or may not like me. I sometimes the like part I can't control, right? The trust part is kind of out of my control, because I don't even have enough time with that person for them to gain trust in me. But what I can get to know them, right? And so you want to create rapport with that person, right? And it might be as simple as, man, just asking them about themselves. Like, how long have you worked here? How long have you been in the business? What got you into this type of business, right? Sometimes you walk in, and I think I shared this with you guys in a Monday morning mastermind. Sometimes you walk into somebody's office, and literally their office gives you an easy conversation to talk about, right? Imagine you walk into an office and the business owner has like deers mounted all over his office. Well, what does that tell you, right? Well, obviously this guy's into hunting, right? And so you might ask him about that, like, wow, that's awesome. You know, how long have you been into hunting? And people love to talk about themselves, right? When you can get somebody that could get you comfortable in talking about yourself, people love to talk about themselves. People are not gonna the second part to this is discover. Discover is where we ask questions about their business to try to find out how we can help them with our product. People are not going to open themselves to the discover part if you can't first build rapport. Because when you build rapport, guess what? People are going to start talking to you openly and freely because now they feel like they're getting to know you, right? And it's amazing because sometimes just by you carrying a sincere, and by the way, when you're asking questions, don't ask questions to manipulate people. Ask questions because you sincerely want to get to know this person that might be your potential client. And so when you ask questions of somebody sincerely and listen, and I was with Liliana earlier, and we were talking about this. Oftentimes, salespeople are very good at talking, but very very shitty at listening. And so the better that you can listen, the better that people feel like they are getting to know you. You might not even have said a whole lot about yourself, but just the fact that you're taking the time and the interest to learn about somebody, they feel like they know you. And once they know you, they'll talk to you open and freely, which gets us to the discover part. Discovering means that we're asking questions about their business and about their benefits plan to help us understand how we can help them with what we do, right? And so that might be as simple as, well, Mr. Business Owner, what does your current benefits look like? And they might tell you, oh, well, we don't have a benefits program. So in my mind, I'm already figuring, okay, well, he doesn't have a benefits program. Well, maybe Aflac is a way for him to implement a benefits program. And so, I'll ask him, so, okay, so you guys don't offer anything. Okay, have you ever looked into offering anything? He might say, yeah, well, a few years ago, we looked into getting medical insurance, but it was a little pricey at the time, and we just didn't. We were just starting our business. We didn't have the budget to be able to do that, because as hopefully you guys already know, in the state of Texas, if you want to do a group plan, that employer has to pay 50% of the premiums, and so a lot of employers are not in that position to do that, right? So maybe he tells me that. Well, now guess what? On the Aflac side, now guess what, like, I'm not telling him this. I'm trying to listen, but I know that with our program, we could implement a benefits program which he's already looked into doing. We know that with our program, he doesn't have to pay any portion unless he wants to, which allows him either or to fit it into his budget. So now, but I don't find any of this out if I don't first engage him, and then I do the discover questions. He might tell me he has a medical insurance policy. And so, great. Well, what does that look like? Are you satisfied with your plan? And he might say, yeah, it's okay. It's a little pricey, but we decided to get a low premium, high deductible plan, just how expensive it was. Well, guess what? If somebody has a low premium, high deductible plan, well, that employee is going to have to pay a lot of money out of their pocket the day that they have to use it. So guess what? Now we could position and guide them as to how Aflac can help offset some of those out-of-pocket costs, so that the employee can cover those deductibles, right? And so, but again, you don't find this out unless you do a proper engage and a proper discover. So now, once we've asked questions and we found out a little bit about his current situation when it comes to benefits, now I can guide him. And now, right, Mr. Business Owner, so you've looked into getting a benefits program. You mentioned to me that it was just very expensive, and you were not in a position to be able to contribute towards the plans. Well, guess what? We have with Aflac, we're able to help you with that, in the sense that with Aflac, guess what? And at this point, I might have asked them how much they were going to pay for their medical insurance, right? Because I bring that back into his memory. And so now I say, guess what? Guess how much our program would cost you to implement it, right? And he might say, oh, I don't know, $50. I don't know. Guess what? You could actually do this program, Mr. Business Owner, without even paying any portion of it. There's a few different options, but you could actually do without it touching your bottom line. And it's a way for you to implement a benefits program, right? And get your employees to start feeling like they're incentivized to work for you. And so now I'm combining what I've discovered to what we can do with Aflac. Does that make sense? Once you can connect those two pieces, the execute part, the closing part, just flows. If you've done DM presentations, or are currently or have done DM presentations where you're not able to execute. And don't get me wrong, nobody's 100% on these executes, right? Not even myself. I mean, there's no such thing as 100%, right? When it comes to our business. But if you are not executing consistently, meaning that you're getting all these, oh, well, call me next week, or oh, well, you know what, I need to talk to my employees, or I need to let me check with my employees, and I'll call you next week. If you're getting a lot of that, I guarantee you, you didn't execute on the engage. And if you don't execute on the engage, it's going to be hard for you to discover enough to guide them. Okay. So you have to be on point with all of these aspects of the business, right? You have to be able to engage so that they can speak to you openly and freely. You have to be able to get them to talk to you openly and freely so that you could get the right answers when it comes to discover. And you have to be able to discover to be able to find a solution for what their challenge or their pain points are. Once you do that, now you can execute. And when you execute, you literally got to ask a closing question. Sales 101. When you ask a closing question, you ask the question and shut up. You ask the question and then you shut up. You force them to answer the question, right? So I might say, hey, Mike, so do you see how this program can help with your current situation? Yes. Awesome. Do you see how now we can start this benefits program, right, that your employees have been asking for? Does that make sense to you? Yes. Awesome. Well, here's how we can implement the plan, Mike, is we have an option where you're able to contribute towards the plans. Now, as mentioned to you prior, right, this is not health insurance, right? And so with our plans, you can literally pick and choose how much you can contribute towards your employers. So option one is we can choose a dollar amount, right? And that might be, and I'll give them an example, right? So for example, Mike, I have a company who, what the business owner decided to do is he decided that he wanted to contribute $50 a month towards each employee. So when we went into the enrollment, now that employee could pick and choose whatever plans that they want because they had a $50 allowance. If they wanted to pay for anything out of their own pocket after that, well, then we do the payroll deduct. So that's one option. Okay. The other option, Mike, is that we could also do this plan at no cost to you. And so what will happen is that we can implement the plan without you having to pay any portion of it. And if any of your employees want to enroll, they're all going to get that discounted premium that we talked about. So, for example, on that accident policy that I told you, they can get it for $7 a week. And so, and by the way, Mike, this is where I'm going to play the biggest role in this enrollment is by you allowing me to be the one that educates your employees. Okay. And so we're going to meet with each of your employees and we're going to educate them. And at the end of the day, they're going to have the opportunity to make an educated decision for themselves, or they want to participate in any of our plans. Which option, Mike, do you think would work best for you? And so guess what? Now Mike has to say, well, you know what? I think I don't know if I could pay. I think we're going to have to do this route. Perfect. Look, we can start it at no cost to you, Mike. And what we can do is next year we can revisit, right? Maybe next year you're in a position where you can contribute. And so we can go with option two. And then the key is that I tell them what the next step is. The rule in this business is that if you don't tell them what the next step is, they're going to tell you what the next step is. And mind you, they have no idea what that next step is. In their mind, they're thinking that they're going to help you. And that might sound like, oh, okay, well, let me talk to my employees and I'll, call me next week. No, we want to be the ones to educate their employees, because what's going to happen is that they're going to go to their employees and they're going to say, hey guys, by the way, Aflac's going to be here next week. Is how many of you are interested in insurance from Aflac? Crickets. Nobody's going to say anything, and they're going to, oh, you know what? They're going to call you back and say, oh, you know what, Renee, I spoke to the employees and none of them are interested. Well, they're not interested because they were never educated properly. They were never given pricing. They were never helped understand how Aflac can help them. And so, of course, they're not going to be interested. And so by me telling them that this is where I'm going to bring the most value is instantly I'm going to put that objection out before it even comes up. Because if at the end, my Mike says, oh, well, you know what, Renee? Yes, I'm going to go with option two. But let me go ahead and talk to him. I'm going to say, Mike, earlier I mentioned that this is where I'm going to bring the most value to you. So in order for us to do this, to execute on these benefits, let me be the one to educate them. Is that okay with you? Yes. Okay, perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to schedule the enrollment right then and there. I got an opportunity to have a great conversation with Liliana earlier. I went with her to do a DM meeting. And I was saying, Liliana, when people buy with emotion and justify with logic. People buy with emotion and justify with logic. Okay. So, for example, if you've ever walked into a car lot, right? You walk into a car lot, you walk in because you're thinking about buying a car. Well, when that salesperson comes to you, one of the first things that they're trained to do is what? Get you to test drive the car. Why? Because you get in that car, it smells that new car scent, right? You're driving it. Man, you got all these features on the car. You got the sunroof. You're driving it. It feels way better than your shitty car, right? And you're driving it. Now, all of a sudden, your emotions are high. Now, man, I love this car. That there's never going to be a better time for them to close you than when your emotions are high. And so people buy an emotion and then I justify it with logic, right? So if I love the car, man, I want it so bad, whatever deal that they give me, I'm going to justify it in my mind how I could pay for it. Isn't that how it works, right? And so my point with that is when you're doing these employer presentations, there's not going to be a better time for you to close that deal than when you're sitting right there. You've already translated your enthusiasm for the product and they're excited about it. That's the best time, right? And so you got to ask closing questions. And so what you have to tell them what the next step is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, so let's do that, Mike. So we'll start it this year where your employee that's voluntary for them and they'll pay for it out of their paycheck. The next step, Mike, is going to be for us to schedule a date when we can start educating your employees. And so depending on the industry, right, depending on what type of company it is. So for example, like a doctor's office. The doctor's office, well, the employees are all in the office for the most part, right? And so if I'm doing a doctor's office, well, I'm going to say, well, what is the best day when you have the least patients? Oh, well, on Fridays, we only see patients in the morning, and then the afternoon is administrative work. Perfect. So what about in between patients and administrative work? What if we come in and we can do the enrollment during that time, right? We'll do an employer presentation. Usually takes me about 10-15 minutes. I'll show them as a group as to how it all works. And then afterwards, Mike, what we're going to do is we're going to sit down with each employee. And at that point, we're going to talk a little bit about what works for them, right? Because some of your employees might need a cancer policy, some might need a life insurance. And so we're going to meet with them in a group. And then after that, we'll meet with them in person. Can we do that? Yes. Okay. So Friday. So I'll pull up a calendar. I'll say, okay, so the 5th, the 12th, which one do you think? And you let them choose. Right? If they choose it now they're involved in this. And so they'll say, oh, well, you know what? Let's do the 12th. Perfect. So would you say around 11:30, 12? Let's do 12. Perfect. And they'll literally see me putting it in my calendar. Boom, boom. I'll put it in my calendar. Awesome. So I'll put it in my calendar. We'll come in that day, Mike, 12 o'clock. We're going to meet with your employees. We're going to present to them in a group. Then we're going to meet with them one-on-one. I've literally told him exactly what the next step is that we need to do to execute on this enrollment. Okay. You have to be thorough with what the expectation is, because if not, you're what's going to happen is I'm going to show up and there's going to be 2 people in the meeting and I'm like, well, you said you had 15. Where's everybody? Oh, well, you know what? The other ones, they weren't interested in the meeting. So, but if you set that expectation that I need to meet with all of your employees, now you're coordinating it with them, right? You're coordinating with them as to what is needed to execute on this enrollment, right? And then I'll tell them, okay, and so we already have that set up. Awesome, Mike. So we're going to be here on the 12th. The next thing that we need to do is just set up your company as an account. And so what that's going to do is we're going to gather some information. Aflac's going to ask you to agree to the terms and conditions. And by the way, Aflac has a help harmless agreement where if you offer Aflac and there's ever a dispute between Aflac and your employee, your company's held completely harmless against any disputes. Okay. And so literally I'll start getting their information right then and there. Right. Okay. So Mike, what's the name of what's the name of the company tied to the tax ID? What is your tax ID? What is your phone number? They'll literally see me writing everything right then and there, because what that's gonna do is it's gonna make it real for them. Okay. Now I'm getting their tax ID information. I'm getting everything. Now they know, okay, this is real. This is happening. And what's gonna happen is that if they're bullshitting me, right? If they're just telling me to get them out of the way, they're gonna say, oh wait, hold on. Like now they're gonna start with the objections. Oh, well, you know what? And now I can handle them. But if I don't know them, then I can't handle them, right? They might tell me, oh, yes, awesome, come on the 12th. And then I show up on the 12th and like they forgot or whatever. But when I start writing down their information and putting everything into the system, now it becomes real. And so if they're serious, they're going to give me all that information. I'm going to send them the email. They're going to set up the account. That way, by the time I go to the enrollment, the account is set up. Now I can enroll all the employees and we're good to go. And so important takeaways on that is number one, make sure that you're asking closing questions and being quiet. Make sure that you're giving them an option that doesn't include a no, right? Option one or option two, either way you've closed. Takeaway number three is if you don't tell them what the next step is, they're gonna tell you what the next step is, and that's gonna sound like, "Oh, well, call me next week," or "Oh, let me talk to my employees, see who's ever interested." Nah, we don't want that. We want to make sure that we're telling them what to do because they don't know what to do. For a lot of times, people are gonna tell you, "Oh, well, let me talk to my employees," because they're actually they don't want to waste your time, right? They're thinking, "Oh, what if Liliana comes and nobody signs up?" So they're trying to protect Liliana because they don't want her to come waste your time. We know that people are going to sign up if you give us the opportunity to educate each one. Okay. I'm going to open it up for questions if anybody has any questions. Or unmute yourself if you have any questions.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is this recorded meeting going to be sent to us to go back and reference?
I'm recording it. I will figure out how to get it to you.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. I don't know that I've ever recorded on Zoom, so but I mean I'm recording, so it'll save to somewhere and I'll get it to you once I figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Nobody? If you're
The
on,
biggest thing, Renee, the biggest thing, can you hear me?
yeah, I hear you.
The biggest thing for them that you're going to overcome in a DM presentation as far as an objection is really only always going to be, well, let me talk to my employees. If you already set the groundwork for that, or and you know how to overcome that, there's really no reason they're ever going to tell you no. Ever. You know, because at the end of the day, it's free.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and to be honest with you, that is always one of the challenges for agents is, and that's one of the biggest objections that employers are going to give you when it comes to the employer presentation is let me talk to my employees. And again, most of the time they want to do that just because they don't want to waste your time. Okay. They're trying to actually protect you. But we know that you're not wasting our time. Like literally we worked hard to be able to even get to this point. So we want to do the enrollment. I mean, if nobody signs up, it is what it is, right? You did everything that you could, right? You don't ever feel bad for planning, preparing, and doing your best, right? If at the end of the day it doesn't work out, well, it doesn't work out, but you did everything in your control. Control the controllables. Whether someone signs up or not is out of my control. But what is in my control is that I'm prepared. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm executing on exactly what I need to do to have an effective enrollment. And so at the end of the day, those numbers are going to average out, right? 60% are going to participate. That's on average. You know, your participation, Amon's might be 80%, right? Mine might be 80% if I can get in front of you and talk to you about, advise you on which plans might work for you. But whatever your average is, it's always going to come back, right? I might do an enrollment where I meet with 5 employees and none of them signed up. But then I go to the next one and I talk to 12 employees and 10 of them sign up. And so it's always the averages are always going to come back. Your job is to control the controllables, which is planning and preparing, prospecting, scheduling meetings to run the employer presentation, enrolling, and servicing your account. And so that's all you can do. And so I was telling our group earlier, right, Robin and Kendall, right now, especially if you're in your first year of AFLAC, or I mean, for all of you guys are going to be in your first 1 or 2 quarters, what you want to become the best at is in prospecting. For now, honestly, don't worry about enrolling. Don't worry about the employer presentation. Your district, or even guys, don't be afraid to ask me to go. I promise you that if I can go with you, I will go with you to an employer presentation. Okay. But you see right here, you see the planning and preparing. This right here is all will, right? It's either will or skill. This is all will. This is all you putting in the work to go do this. And that is all that we need you to do right now, right? Yeah, you have to learn all the other aspects, but we can help you with that part. What we can't do is hold your hand every single day to go call on people and do your green time activities. And so the only thing that you got to get good at right now and become a master at right now is in prospecting and scheduling meetings to create opportunities for yourself. Because once you get into the DM presentation, well, now I can go help you run a DM. Your DSC can go help you run a DM. Enrollment is the easiest part of what we do. Trust me, it's the easiest part of this. It's not. I hate using the word easy, right? But it's the easiest part of the sales cycle. Okay. And so this right here is will. This right here is skill. And it's going to take you a little while to build that skill, right? The edge model, easy for me to explain it and walk you and do all of that because I've been doing it, right? Repetition is the mother of all skill. Repetition is the mother of all skill. So if you do something often enough, you're going to get good at it, right? And so that's the only reason I'm good at it. I'm not good at it because I was different or I was God-given or I was just the perfect for Aflac. No, it's just that I've been freaking doing this all the time. I bombed presentations before. I've gotten kicked out of offices. Everything that you could imagine has happened. But I kept going. I kept getting better. And so now it comes easy. But everybody starts where you start. I literally, Robin, I see on my screen, you were literally sitting in onboarding today. I literally sat in that seat. Okay. And so we all start somewhere, right? You can't go back, whether you're 74, 34, whatever age you are, you can only move forward. And so the best time to start is right now. And so make sure that you're doing everything in your power to be the best prospector in the world. Okay. And that comes to doing it over and over, right? But you can accelerate that curve by doing everything else, right? And so one of the books that I always recommend is Fanatical Prospecting, right? And so here's what I learned early in my career is the faster that I grow, the faster that my business will grow. And so you grow by learning from others, right? By jumping on these trainings, by coming to the Monday morning masterminds, by going on to Aflac On Demand and watching those videos, right? By listening to the audiobooks, by reading the books. They're sitting right there. All the information in the world is sitting right there. People are willing to tell you how to be successful in business and in life, and people will not take the time to read it. Don't let that be you, okay? The faster that you grow, the faster that your business will grow, okay? If any of you have any questions, I know we're running out of time here. Let me see. Let me look at the chat real quick. Yeah, okay, so perfect. Oh, awesome. So they're not really questions. They're just bullet points that you guys are keeping. Good. Awesome. So I'm going to end it with, I'm going to land this plane already. So let me try to get rid of this. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. So leadership, right? So we talked about leadership. So here's leadership number one, lesson number one when it comes to this Leadership Academy. The number one rule that I learned when it came to leadership is the first person that you have to lead when you're a leader is yourself, right? I can't lead an army, right? I can't lead a group of people if I can't even lead myself, right? If I can't even lead my own self, why would anybody else want to follow me? How am I going to become a leader if I can't even lead myself, right? And so all of us are in different parts of our, and I'm just going to talk Aflac right now because obviously that's what we're doing, but all of us are at different levels of our career, right? And maybe right now the level of your career is where leading yourself means literally getting your ass out of bed and going to call on businesses, right? That's leading yourself. Once you get in the habit of leading yourself, now you can start to lead others, right? Now you can start moving up that leadership ladder, right? Which is exactly why we're doing this, because the better leaders that we have on our team, the more leaders that we have on our team, the faster that our business is going to grow and the faster that all of our incomes are going to grow. We cannot grow linear, right? It's got to be Robin, right? It's got to be Robin becomes, one of the best leaders in our organization. And now she's literally doing these trainings. She's literally teaching people how to go out and schedule meetings, but it started by leading herself. And we can't do that if you don't lead yourself. So leadership lesson number one is the first person that you have to lead is yourself. If you can't lead yourself, then it's going to be hard for you to make it yourself, and definitely going to be hard for you to have others follow you if you can't lead that first person, which is you. Okay. Oh, so that was a leadership lesson. I'm going to end it with this. So, great quote that I remember seeing a while back that I wanted to share with you guys today. Albert Einstein, right? He said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited, but imagination encircles the world. Imagination is more important than knowledge. So, how does this relate to what we do? Every single one of you came to this business and joined AFLAC and decided to get their license and decided to do all that moving forward and all of that stuff and come to the meetings because in your imagination, you saw something that AFLAC can help you get to. You saw something, right? Whether it's buying a house, whether it's buying a new car, whether it's building a business, whether it's becoming a leader in AFLAC, whatever that you saw in your imagination, you saw AFLAC as a way that you can get there. And so when Albert Einstein talked about imagination, what he meant was that everything in this world that came to reality or came to fruition, somebody first imagined it in their mind. Right? You had to have, right? How did somebody invent an airplane that could fly without first having seen it in their mind that it was possible? And so it's no different for you, right? Your aspirations might not be to invent this time machine or something that nobody's ever seen, but whatever you see in your mind, it's possible because God does not give you an image in your mind that He hasn't already given you the seeds in your heart to achieve. You already have it in you. If your goal is to be the number one account opener in AFLAC and you can see it in your mind, that means you already have it within you to make it happen, right? You got to do the work though, right? You got to do the work, right? You can't just sit and imagine all day, right? But if you can see it, you can do it. You just have to be able to put in the work to be able to eventually learn the skills needed to get there. And so imagination is more powerful than knowledge. So each one of you came on here, came on AFLAC because you saw a way as to how AFLAC can help you be better, right? You imagined it in your mind. So my challenge to you is make sure that you don't lose that imagination in your mind, but you also put in the work to help you bridge that gap between imagination and where you are right now. Because the only thing that's going to bridge that gap is putting in the work, learning the skills, learning everything that you need to do to be able to close that gap and be able to get to what you imagine. So we're at 5:02, so 2 minutes over. I will get you guys the video as soon as I can figure out to save it and email it to you guys. But thank you so much for jumping on here. Have an amazing weekend. Happy Friday. Each one of you that's in here, you're here because we believe in you, right? There's nobody that's here just because we needed a writing number or just because we needed an extra body. You're here because myself or someone in our organization believe that you can make a difference and help our team get better and help us grow and get to where we want to go as a team. And so don't ever forget that you're here for a reason, not just our reason, but God's reason, right? I don't believe things happen just because, right? They're placed in your life for a certain reason, but whether they become what they were put there for depends on your faith and depends on how hard and how long you're willing to believe and have the faith that it's going to happen for you. And so I believe in you. If any of you guys need anything, my phone number. Call me, text me. Anything that I can help you with tomorrow, Sunday, call me, text me. If I'm available, I'll answer you or I'll text you back. But y'all have a great weekend. We'll do another one of these next week. If anybody has any suggestions as to what you want to go over, I'm open to feedback on this. But I love you guys. Y'all have an amazing weekend. And we'll see you at Monday morning mastermind at 9 a.m. on Monday. So y'all have a great weekend. Thank you guys.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.